My pick this week is not Mario Brothers, but it's Joe Fixit #5 from Marvel Comics. This is strictly...
Is that Spider-Man?
That is Spider-Man. This is strictly for the Marvel kids of the 90s. And is likely, the more I read this, the more, as I got through issue, I was like, okay, this is an old Peter David script that they dusted off and had a new artist do. And they're putting out now, which I'm totally fine with because I love Peter David as a writer. All right. You ready for Troy Explains Superhero Comics?
Oh God, yes.
All right, let's go.
This is one of my favorite fake segments.
All right, so originally, Stan Lee wanted the Hulk to be green, and the character was green in the first issue of the comic.
Okay.
And so what has happened was, years later, writer Peter David found an in-continuity explanation for that.
Ooh.
Right. So, and this is kind of one of the reasons I love comics, is someone will always come back around and be like, no, that wasn't a mistake. Here's a continuity explanation for this, right? And so the explanation is kind of simple. Green Hulk and Gray Hulk are all aspects of Banner's dissociative disorder.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It was a very clever concept. And I've always enjoyed that. And I think later writers kind of implemented the idea that Gray Hulk in particular, and this ties into Joe Fixit, is a part of Banner's psyche that was watching crime films at some point in time.
Okay, I love that.
Right. So the catch here is that Green Hulk is strongest, but dumb.
Okay.
And Gray Hulk is smarter, but not as strong.
Ooh.
Right. And so Joe Fixit is a persona that the Hulk took on. And I'm not going to be able to make fun. I'm not going to be able to make sense of this, but
that's okay.
He took on to become a mob enforcer in Las Vegas.
Sure.
And I don't remember why that was exactly.
There doesn't need to be a reason.
But it was basically, I guess, him hiding in plain sight. And for some reason, no one put two and two together. This was the Hulk.
Somehow that seems impossible, but let's do it. Yeah.
But whatever. And so this was an alter ego that he took on to kind of hide from people that were looking for him, basically. And so there was a short period in time in the Incredible Hulk books in the 90s where he was a mob enforcer. He ran afoul of the Punisher in one particular book. It was actually one of the first Hulk books I read. And so now what we're getting here is a new story in the Joe Fixit era by the guy who originally made those stories. And so what we have here is a story basically about Kingpin attempting a hostile takeover of the mob boss that Joe Fixit currently works for, not knowing that the Hulk is working for this guy right now.
Perfect.
And so Spider-Man happens to be in Las Vegas, which I don't think is ever properly explained at all.
Doesn't need to be.
And so it's basically, the book is kind of like a weird Marvel team up between Hulk, Joe Fixit, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, against the Kingpin, who's basically trying to basically take over the crime world in Las Vegas. And
that's a big task.
It's just a fun book. It's purely nostalgia. It's something that definitely reminds me of how Marvel comics used to be written. And so there's always there's always that line of logic of okay, we're gonna figure out this Gray Hulk thing so it makes sense in continuity, right? But then there's also this illogic that follows it as well. It's well, why is this alter ego a mob enforcer? And it really probably boils down to Peter David just wanted to do a crime story, right? But it's just a fun book, and I definitely recommend it. It's the 5th issue is out this week. The trade paperback is actually in the current Previews catalog.
Oh, okay, sweet.
So if you missed it, you can definitely get the trade paperback later. But yeah, if you're a 90s kid like me and you grew up on this stuff, it's a nice, fun trip down memory lane. There's no real ties to current continuity if you're one of those people that feel a certain way about that, right? So you can just hop into this and just relive this particular moment in comic book Marvel continuity. So Joe Fixit #5, available from Marvel Comics this week.